What's up, everybody? Welcome to another week of Q&A live stream. And this week, my guest is Aaron Marshall. Welcome to the show, dude.
What's up, man? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure having you. How's everything going?
Things are good, man. Things are as exciting as they can be. We're rolling out a record and we can't go on tour. I'm sure everybody knows. There's a deal. We're all living the same perpetual nightmare, but yes, things are as good as they can be. And I'm just chilling right now. I got my cold brew, hanging with my buddy. Let's do it.
Yep. Got my coffee too in my ridiculously awesome mug.
Dude, yeah. I can't hang with much, man. Yeah.
No, it's cool. It's cool. So you got two singles out from the current album, which is coming out next month.
Yes, November 13th.
November 13th. That's awesome. How's the reception on this new album been so far?
It's honestly been amazing. I mean, it's been since December 2017 that we've done a rollout, so there's a lot of variables that are different. Streaming is just such a different world now than even back then. It's crazy how much that's changed in the last, 2.5, 3 years, whatever it's been. So that's changed like the landscape. And as a result, like we can see like really tangible feedback, so yeah, it's been amazing, honestly. And just across all platforms, everyone's really excited. Everyone's vibing with the tunes. So I couldn't be happier, honestly. It's definitely a strange time to be doing this whole thing, but the music is ready and everyone deserves it. And I want to keep moving because fuck standing still. You know what I mean? So it's been great though. Everyone's been just going nuts and sharing like crazy and the numbers are sick. So I can't ask for anything more than that.
Right. Dude, I seriously, I fuck with that idea of just not being able to stand still. Like fuck standing still. Well, I mean, because that's an interesting aspect of that. You've said, no, I'm not going to wait. I'm not going to wait for things to normalize because I don't think they're going to normalize anytime soon. So you've adapted to the current circumstances and just said, well, we're going to just, roll out with podcasts. Like we were talking a little bit before we went live that you've been on a bunch of different podcasts to do kind of promo for this upcoming release.
The digital tour with no music. Yeah. Yeah.
But that's actually like an interesting idea is that as effective as doing the live tours, like having these conversations and getting out to like the people and answering questions about the release and maybe some like personal stuff about like guitar playing or whatever. Like, have you found that that's as effective as the touring or maybe almost as?
It's just different. I mean, I think that we probably would have gone hard with PR like in lockstep with the like touring and the more traditional kind of rollout. I don't think it's a suitable substitute, but it's definitely a different angle. We're all just getting a different vibe, and not just from what we're doing, but from what all artists are doing right now. And there's a lot of different ways to approach it, but, I don't know. I'm old school, man. I just want to be on tour. I spent the last like almost a decade building a sustainable touring career. Mm-hmm. So having that taken away, temporarily, of course, I'm not being a complete pessimist. I'm trying to be optimistic, but, having the deck shuffled on you is kind of hard to accept. I know we'll be fine. It's the crew members and it's like my guys, like, that we employ on the road and people who survive via the tour, network and infrastructure that like exclusively that I feel for the most. But, we're pivoting. There'll be a playthrough for every song on the record and some other opportunities to do some stuff. Of course, our hands are tied for live streams and stuff for like full performances from the band because some of the guys are in America and I'm in Canada and so is Nathan. And that makes things complicated. With border restrictions and things of that nature, I'm sure we could figure some stuff out, but there's quarantine periods and things that, that apply here in Canada that don't apply in America.
Right.
So it's complicated, and we're just not sure exactly how to approach it. But we've talked about a few things. Maybe something comes up. Maybe we can do that. I still don't think it's a substitute for the real thing. You can watch your favorite chef make the tastiest dish of all time on YouTube, but you still can't smell or taste it. So, you know, it's okay, I guess, but you know, yeah. So we just want to be on the road, and we're going to, because we're, you know, we're a completely independent entity. We prioritize live music and touring. We've built ourselves up to a point where we are the same level as all of our, you know, label funded peers and people who spend all year on tour. We do it too. We do it on every continent on the planet. We do it just as well. In fact, I think we invest a little bit more in some aspects of that, and we really pride ourselves on that. So when the floodgates open, we will be you know, teaming with you know, enthusiasm to do. I mean, we already are. We're ready to go, you know. So yeah, it's gonna be sick whenever that is. But until then, I guess we're just gonna keep pushing this one. Maybe make some more music. I don't know. That's kind of exciting. I already have the itch, which is really weird because usually at this point I'm so done with it. But I'm kind of stoked right now. So it's going good.
Right. That, I mean, I think that's sort of that idea of like not being able to sit still kind of feeds back into that again, where like you had touring taken away from you. So right now what you would be doing is gearing up towards, you know, extended period of touring for, you know, to support the album release and everything. But now it's like, well, okay, I can't do that. What can I do? You know?
Yeah, I see somebody in the chat says every continent doesn't include South America, and they got some bummed out faces. Look, it was on the list of to-dos for the new cycle. I'm so sorry about that. We know we made the furthest south we've been. We did some shows in Mexico, and the promoter wanted to take us further south for another, you know, even further and actually into South America on our next trip in that direction. And it's trust me, it's on the list. There's only a handful of places we haven't been. That's one of them. Russia is another, and there's like a couple other small little things, but we've done most of it. But yeah, honestly, like it's just, you just gotta figure it out, and there's no point in wallowing in it and in worrying and wishing, and you just got to do the thing. I think we're flexible as an independent entity. I don't feel confined apart from the physical, like this being in here in this space. I don't feel confined otherwise. I feel like if I want to do collab singles next, do an EP, start writing the next record, experiment with stuff, because now's the first time in Interval's history where I can write with no deadline. It's literally the first time in 8 or 9 years where I don't have to get music ready for a particular calendar date. We thought that was going to be the case with this year. Even pre-pandemic, we were like, okay, 2020, no dates on the calendar. And it's funny because your manager will always tell you like, yeah, no problem, we won't put anything on the calendar. And then it's like 2 months in the year, and it's just like, hey, if we don't do some shit, we're going to miss out on all the shit. And you're like, oh, right. Yes, there's a business here. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So, cause I got home from NAMM, like, you know, first week of February or whatever it was. And I wrote the first song, which is the last song on the record, within about a week or two of being home from NAMM, and that kicked the whole process off. And we wrapped recording in July and had a master by, well, no, we were recording drums in August. So we wrapped in August, had a master by first week of September, which is kind of nutty that none of this music existed in January.
Right.
But I'm excited to be able to now create freely with no deadlines, because I think I just bought myself some time. Normally in a regular cycle, like our last cycle was 2.5 years, but now with no touring, it's like, do we get kneecapped by the fact that I don't even want to, that's a miserable thought. I don't even want to think about it. I'm so proud of this record. It deserves the light of day. It deserves to have a cycle as long as the last one, but what the hell can we do with no shows? So I'm a little freaked out by that, but I'm just going to keep creating. And then I guess the silver lining is when tour comes back, we're going to have a shit ton of new music to play, maybe more than just a record. Right. Who knows?
No, I think that this is a perfect opportunity find those alternate avenues, as you said, like where are you going to be doing some collaborative singles? I'm sure that there's a ton of people who would want to work with you and work on creating something interesting and fun. But are you thinking about doing something more digital as well as like, creating guitar playthroughs or doing live streamed concerts or, anything like that? Is that something that's in the works at all?
I mean, yeah, that's aside from being able to get us in a room and do a live stream performance. I don't know what else we could do to supplement the cycle. Like, yes, there will be a playthrough for every song, guitar, bass, and drums. We've already, you heard it here first. You haven't already picked up on the rhythm, we put out the first single and then we went guitar, drums, bass. We just dropped the second single. We've already got a guitar playthrough dropped yesterday. You should go to my YouTube channel, shameless plug, check it out. But yeah, so we're gonna do that, and it's important to us. And I actually really wanted to have done that for all of the material on previous releases. But there's this little thing called tour that we do sometimes, where I'm not available to do that because I'm in a bus with 8 degenerates flying around the continent playing music for you every night, and I miss it dearly. Womp womp. But yeah, I don't know, man. Maybe I figure out a little stream rig, and maybe I don't know though. I'm so torn about that. I'm like, I love doing things like this, and I'm okay to give a window into the process, but like writing music is private, man. It's like,
interesting.
But like maybe on Wednesdays it's not. I don't know. I haven't figured that out yet. But like, I don't know. I don't know how you do it. You seem to be living on this thing, man.
I've been doing a lot of live streaming a lot. Honestly, it gets easier over time because the audience will kind of tell you what they want to see. They'll kind of direct the content that you end up making. Honestly, like, I'm actually sequestering usually like one live stream a month where it's just me kind of answering questions or making tones or, doing whatever the audience is looking to kind of absorb that day. And, the people that I feel really lucky, to be honest, that we've built a community that's very supportive, that's very curious, introspective, and like they bring a lot of really great questions. It's one of the reasons why I feel like this podcast has been really successful, is because, it's not just the basic questions people are asking about like lifestyle ideas, like mindset, drive, motivation, inspiration, like that. And I find that those elements are far more fascinating than the minutia of like, I use a 0.88 pick instead of a 0.73 pick. Like that's, it is what it is. But I've been really actually enjoying the live stream because, not
get out of my head. Get out of, he knows just by the colors. Get out of my head.
I do.
Unreal.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I got some, where are they? Got some neural 0.88.
Hey, let's go. Here. I just ran 0.88s for mine. If anyone's wondering, that's what you get in the pre-order with the fancy new circadian artwork. You should get them. I can't wait. I'm actually going to pick some up from Sheet Happens myself tomorrow, because green and yellow is cool, but black and white is, you can wear black and white with anything. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, dude, I got a full I got like a full coffee mug full of these neural picks. It's the best.
Let's go. And 0.88 is the one. Oh, we're not going there. Let's not do that right now. Right after we said we don't want to do it, I'm like, oh, let's talk about picks. Absolutely not.
Yeah. But an interesting thing that you just mentioned, though, I kind of want to pick on is you mentioned that writing is sort of a personal experience. Do you feel uncomfortable talking about your writing style, or is that just something that you just kind of like to keep to yourself and invest time in?
No, I mean, I did an entire jam play course on like how I write, and when they approached me that was in 2017. When they approached me to do it, I was like, I don't want to do like guitar gymnastics 101 or whatever like guys do in the like tutorial. I mean, I don't even treat the instrument like that. I like technique. I like I can, sit down and trade chops and like, these are the things I like. Hey, here's a cool thing I'm doing. If you plug in this riff to the number machine, you get it. Like we can have those conversations, but I didn't want to make that, that piece of content. So I decided to do like, the package was called Anatomy of a Hook. And I saw in the chat, actually, somebody says like, how do you go about writing a hook? We can certainly go there. So, I mean, really to sort of summarize, like as a preamble, like, no, it's not personal. Like I don't mind giving you a window into the syntax. It's just like the physical goings on in the moment. I've done it. Actually, I think people who follow me on Instagram would probably be excited to, like, if you've like caught any of like my lives, it's very rare these days, but, I think the last time I went live and I had an instrument in my hands, I was exploring like, hey, here's a riff I just kind of stumbled on. Like, let's kind of like check it out together. I like felt like I was comfortable to do that in that moment. And it's track 5 on the record. So if you were paying attention or you were there for that, you'll see how I grew it into a song. So yeah, I don't really mind sharing sort of like a window into that. It's just there's some times where I need to be intimate with the idea and I need to not have that little red light on in the back of my head where I know the internet is watching me fumble through stuff, and some of the like more, calculate, and it's fine. I'm okay to like, make some mistakes or like, we can have some clams, maybe not enough for chowder. If it was that bad, I'd turn the damn camera off. But I don't mind, I can show humility that way. We're all human. Then nobody sits there and plays like their magnum opus from start to finish with the record button on flawlessly. Right. We all know this. But I just feel like I'm not ready mentally to be watched all the time doing it. Again, maybe Wednesdays, but not always. So I have to prepare myself for whatever that looks and feels like, if it's going to look and feel like anything. But no, I mean, I've made a piece of content on my, sort of like various mental approaches or how I take an idea and grow it. The sort of dialogue that I'm having with myself when I'm exploring like a basic idea and trying to turn it into a song. So I guess that's a sort of a segue into like the question of like, how do you write a hook? I mean, it's just about balance, and it's the basic things that you already know. It's the call and response. It's the, creating a motif. In my jam play course, I used an analogy. It's like calculating a mathematical equation to where the sum needs to be 0. So you can't have too much on the left and you can't have too much on the right. This thing's supposed to weigh nothing by the end. It's supposed to be so easy that there's no questions left. Like, I wish you went up here. I wish you went down there. You asked me a question, but you never gave the answer, kind of thing. I don't want you to feel like you're by the end of a phrase or a hook or some sort of thing that like its identity is muddy. It just weighs nothing in the end. It just balances out to 0. And we just keep it moving. You know what I mean? It's like, it's a funky analogy, but I don't ever want to feel like I owe the listener anything, or that I owe myself. Like, let's say that's the left and the right. You know what I mean? We're both satisfied in the end. So, yes. And how do you do that? Well, I mean, it's the simple sort of like pendulum swing of how music wants to, I let this stuff, I mean, it sounds woo woo, but I let it tell me. So if I pose a question at the end of a phrase, then I answer it. And sometimes it takes a whole song to answer that question. It doesn't actually just happen within that particular fragment. I also use the analogy of like throwing a football down the field, and then the rest of the song is you running down the field and inevitably catching it in the end.
Right.
Right. A little bit of some strange imagery, but that's sort of like, as long as there's a check and balance system for some sort of theme or question that I've posed, as long as I answer it and feel like there's closure, then we're good. And I feel good about it. And that can happen within the phrase, or it can happen across the song. In fact, it could happen in another song. Maybe. Just kind of depends. I do like repeating, certain things or reusing some ideas, and that does occur on the new record. But no, I just, from a micro versus macro standpoint, the micro is just making sure that everything feels right in the moment. I see often that like the reason I think people are really connecting with this record, but also with previous records, is that, I see this common sort of comment that's like, the next note always feels like the right one. Well, I don't know what those are. There's no formula for that. I'm just listening. I'm just reacting to what my hands are doing. and I'm just listening and asking myself what really balances that idea. You know, so I guess the choices that I make end up being for the better. I don't really know exactly what the science is. And I did my best in the jam play course to sort of depict that. And I used a few examples of like what it is that I'm asking myself and how I do it. There's a little bit of theory jargon in there too. Of course, you can reverse engineer things. You can use, you know, diatonic harmony and, you know, modal theory and stuff to figure out what's supposed to make sense, analyzing chord tones and stuff. But 85 to 90% of the time it's intuition. So
that's fascinating. I mean, it kind of makes me wonder where the influences come from, because the thing that I like about your music is that it is all very well organized in that all the elements support each other. Like you said, sort of an equation that ultimately both sides have to equal zero, right? But your melody lines themselves feel more like big band horn lines than they do guitar licks. Does that make sense? Where you have like these memorable melody lines that it's very hooky. It's very like, it stands out and everything around it supports it, which I'm curious where that sort of comes from, or if it's just instinct alone that's kind of guiding you to write these lines.
Yeah, I mean, I have two headspaces. I have like guitar, so like the verses or solos in places where I want to use technique or sort of articulations that sound like what a guitar can do, hammer-ons, pull-offs, these types of things. When I go for the hook or the top line, the identity of a piece, I limit myself from those things. It may contain some of those things, but I try to actually remove those. I love that you said horns, because horns are like visually this, and it's not even arranged sequentially in a way that actually makes any damn sense if anyone's played a trumpet or even a trombone would be a great, not that it's my favorite horn instrument, but it's a great example of that, because it's this linear invisible line, much like a vocal. The horn and the vocal are actually probably one and the same in the way I visualize them. So limiting myself to one string. And now I might not commit to performing it that way, but I might find the notes that way. And then I rearrange depending on how I want to say. Yeah, because I'm trying to see it like this. I'm not trying to see it like influenced visually by patterns and reoccurring things that are so, like, I use this term that doesn't really exist all the time, but guitaristic. Like guitaristic things, like the fact that I could repeat this shape here and repeat it there in the same octave, or we can do that thing where it's like, oh, I've now identified this triad or this pattern, this arpeggio in one octave. So if I know my shit, I can just extrapolate that across like octave portals and we can do it all over the place. It's like, you know it there, so you know it here. Like vocalists don't think like that. Horn players don't think like that. They have this line. They don't repeat things in various registers. They just do. So to me, it takes away all the BS. And I'm just like, okay, top line, identity, melody. Like it's just me, one string, the pick, and emotion. And then I'm just going to tell you how I feel. Then I decide like, ooh, I really like how that felt doing it like that. Here will be an example, like the top line from Fable from The Shape of Color. You know, it sounds like bagpipes. It's like Celtic kind of thing with the pull-offs, and I'm doing one string. I kind of settled on the melody without the pull-offs first, and then I was like, yeah, it's a little square, so let me try to do something slightly more guitaristic to make it interesting. Then the pull-offs, I'm like, wow, this feels like a bagpipe line. It's kind of Celtic vibe. I kind of like that. Let's just see how much I can get done with one string. Then I committed to it. Other times I'll just, write a melody on one string and go, I don't like the way it feels. That's not going to be fun to perform, but I love the notes. So let's work it out and plug it into the guitar matrix, and then we'll see what happens. So there's just like a couple, there's just like a couple ways to kind of think about it. But I think that a lot of modern instrumental guitar stuff can lose the plot without that identity, or that like at least some sort of hook or top line. Like, I'm down for you to blaze, but don't blaze for 4 minutes. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we get it. You rock. Like, you know, and I'm not admonishing anybody. Like, trust me, I love all my peers. I love all the dudes who I feel like guitar is canceled every time I listen to their music. It keeps me hungry and motivated. I love that playing. Just because I don't treat it like the Olympics of guitar doesn't mean that I don't respect that, and I don't push myself from time to time to put a big, you know, some crazy calculated line or some flashy technique thing. They're in there here and there, but it's not what gets me off personally. So I just want to have like that, just that like undeniable infectious identity to a song where like you leave the venue humming that melody or multiple ones, whatever. And that's the biggest compliment for me is I just want earworms. I'm just trying to get in your head like standard music does without the vocal. So if you're humming a guitar line tomorrow in your car on the way to work after the show, I win, because who's doing that with guitar music? You know what I mean? I'm not tooting my own horn, like saying like I'm the only one that does it, but like how often is the listener affected in that capacity? It's not just for me. Yes. You can definitely, you know, still, you know, have a, you know, a Sean line in your head or a Polyphia line in your head. There's lots of guys that are doing it. It's that school that's rising to the top, of course. Tons of Nick Johnson hooks, like things that things that get, you know, stuck in my brain too. But if I can do it, then I feel like that's the response that I'm trying to get from the listener. And before we switch lanes, Randy Edwards is in here and he said, "What's it like being my dad?" And I just want to let you know, son, I'm so proud. I'm so proud. And you know, I know I didn't buy you a car for your 16th birthday, but we can figure it out. Hey, times are different now, son. Okay, I love you and I miss you. All right, next. That's amazing.
Awesome.
If anyone doesn't know Randy, Randy says yes. Randy is the very first touring videographer and photographer for Intervals. And
beautiful.
Randy is just one of my favorite people of all time on planet Earth. That would be insinuating that I've been to another planet, but I've not.
That we know of. Right.
Yeah. Randy's the first dude who was willing to give more than a couple days of his time to sacrifice his life to be a part of the lives of many of us in this camp. It started with the Shape of Color tour in 2016. And then we couldn't afford, we being myself and Plenty, who had the rest of the year booked with Animals as leaders, we couldn't afford to do what we needed to do in Europe, supporting Animals over there for the summer and also have him around. And they had their heart set on somebody else. And I convinced Tosin and Javier that that's not the person that they should take. So I'm really sorry to whoever lost a gig on that. I'm really, really sorry. But Randy absolutely deserved to be there with all of us and continue touring that year with us. And I mean, look at him now, you know, it's like Animals as leaders, Periphery, Intervals, Plenty, 3 Days Grace, amongst tons of other things. As I Lay Dying, you know, and unbelievably talented. One of my favorite people ever. So shout out to my son, Randy Edwards. Very good.
That's awesome, dude. That was a really great answer. I love the idea of limitations. I love the idea of like just saying like, okay, stop playing all over the fretboard and looking for ideas that are so complex. Like you're not going to write something that's super complex that people are going to immediately fall in love with. If you want to write good hooks, you got to simplify things. I really like that idea.
Option paralysis will murder your entire brain clean out of your skull. Just me. I don't know. That's just how I feel. But like, also the coffee's really working now. So sorry if the vernacular gets turned up.
Nah, dude. It's all good.
It says kick ass on the can. No, it says kick ass on the can. I thought it said smart ass. I would like to believe. The earlier the podcast, the better, just for anyone else who wants to schedule this nonsense. So limitation helps me see clearly. And we can get complicated, but I have a hard time reducing. I'd rather build up. Yeah, taking away is challenging. So
I can attest to that. Coming up with like a song a week to do for content for the Neural channel is like, I mean, it's really, really taught me what's important and what isn't important. and to make decisions and commit to them, which has been really, really challenging. But I feel has made me far better at being a songwriter. But like, yeah, like really cutting away all the fat is only going to improve your chops.
You're a fucking animal for writing a song a week. Oh my God, bro.
I mean, like they may be like minute long, but man, like they can get kind of taxing because it's like, because I'm doing the writing, and then I record it, mix it, master it, and then shoot it. Thankfully, I have an editor, so I have somebody who can do the video editing for me. But like, yeah, it's been challenging, but I love pushing myself, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like I need to do that as an exercise, even if it's things that never see the light of day, is probably be healthy for me to do that and just to commit faster.
Yeah.
I'm getting better at that, I promise. But I don't know. Here's a fun fact. There's 0 cutting room floor intervals material.
Really?
I have maybe, okay, 0's an exaggeration. I might have 1 minute, 30 seconds, perhaps 2 minutes of music. That's never, so everything I've ever created has been released.
Interesting.
That's kind of terrifying, actually.
I have probably gigabytes worth of unused ideas on my phone that I've just like stuck my camera up on my desk and been like, okay, got this idea. And then like I go back and listen to it later. I'm like, no, good.
Okay,
good.
Jared, my dude Jared is keeping me honest. So I was excluding. Yeah, okay. So there's one song that got tossed on the way into recording. Yeah, my brain, very good. I did talk about, I've talked about this recently. So there was one song that got tossed about a week and a half before I started recording, just because I'm a masochistic fuck, and and what good is sleep anyhow? So no, there was this one tune for this record actually that did feel slightly out of place. Sort of would have worked. It was working before, but then I had brought in a couple other tunes, and they had more of a clear-cut direction in selling sort of the overall concept, or speaking to the overarching concept of the record, and working. So, okay, so there is one B-side. No, you're not calling me out, Brandon. You're keeping me honest. That's good. Here, sorry, Brandon, your last name. Yeah, so I tossed that one, and other than that, though, I promise you could raid my hard drive. I could screen share it to you now. There is nothing else. Even riffs that didn't like see the light of day. Maybe I just programmed the drums for like a part or two. They just don't. I don't even have them because they're just. I can't get down with something that I wasn't in love with immediately. It needs to be kind of like that love at first play, love at first sight kind of thing. And then, I've just spent enough time with my own ideas to know how to curate like what's going to live and die by, the sort of the process in which I create this music. And I just can't seem to like, I don't know. I get this tip often, like from producers or writers, like, man, you got to write all the bad stuff so it doesn't come out again. You write the bad stuff so that you have a better shot at writing the good stuff. But like, I'm not going to continue adding ideas to the bad thing to like, you know what I mean? Like, why am I wasting time when I can just clear my headspace and keep it moving? So, okay, so about 6.5 minutes worth of B-side, but we're talking about a decade worth of composing this music. So it still speaks to my point. There's really no B-sides. It's just kind of like, I kind of know right away whether or not it's going to survive. And then if it does, then I put my everything into it. Very good. Yeah. The chat is vibrant. We got some, this is that's good.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think we got 168 people hanging out. That's awesome. I love seeing that. I love seeing that. No, that's fascinating. Cause I think like because most people would say like, you got to get the bad stuff out to get to the good. And like your reply is, why would I continue working on the bad stuff? I feel like there's all like sort of that balance between like, well, this is not a good idea. I'm just going to like table that and then maybe come back to it later. I've actually been kind of surprised because I've done like co-writing sessions with people before, and stuff that I thought was bad ended up being some of the people's favorite stuff to listen to. Like that's always like the surprising thing, is that like when you come up with something and it's not what you expect it to be, but then everybody's just like, dude, that's the shit. I love that. Like, have you experienced that so far, or has it generally just been like, I love this, we're keeping it?
Yeah, I struggle to like get past my own, panel of judges.
Mm-hmm.
That makes me sound like a crazy person. Like I just said, there's multiple people in my head. But yeah, no, if it doesn't, like, it lives and dies by me. I have to love it because I have to play it forever.
Mm-hmm.
So, because we perform all this music. Look, if I was relegated solely to performing like from the comfort of my own space, or only just releasing recorded music and not having to play it live,
mm-hmm.
maybe I'd feel different about some of these things. But I know that I have to deliver it and I have to love it. And it's like, what, art is therapy, man. It's like, I'm not disillusioned to the fact that, I'm lucky to do this, because I just make stuff for me, and like everybody, that's supported thus far, people who are finding the music and getting into it and stuff, it's all just a bonus. Like, I just appreciate so much that there's like a community for it, and then we can be part of this like bigger picture via the music. But I'm just making this stuff that feels good in my hands, sounds good in my ears. And, so I don't ever really kind of make it that far with things where I'm unsure, because I don't think there's going to be conviction from me in the end.
Right.
And I need to be wholeheartedly in love with it to bring it to life 150 nights out of the year, every year between now and whenever this folds, so like I have to love it.
No, I think that speaks to motivation as to why you do this in the first place. Like, there are some people who will write music because they know it'll make them successful. You write it for yourself, which is ultimately, I feel, the most important thing. Like, for me, a lot of the motivation behind what I'm doing with Neural is because I enjoy helping people. Like, I write the music because I also enjoy it, but like, ultimately I get to be in a position where I get to help other people create their art, and that's like, cause I was a guitar teacher for like 10 years at the guitar shop I used to work at. And that was like some of the most like fulfilling, those held some of the most fulfilling moments for me, was when I could see the light come on for somebody else. And when it comes to your music, you're looking for that introspection. You're looking for that emotion, that catharsis within yourself, which is like, is very, very important. Absolutely. Yeah.
That's everything, man. Yeah, absolutely, dude. I'm seeing a couple in the chat that I'd like to highlight, because I don't want to miss these for folks at home. Somebody said, where is it? I Like Trees says, what about that sequel to The Waterfront? That is the last song on the record. It's called Earthing. And if you can figure out why that is the answer to The Waterfront, that's kind of a cheeky, I didn't want to call it The Waterfront Part 2. So and funny enough, the melody, so what they're referencing is I used a motif from The Waterfront. I wasn't shy about sharing that on my Instagram when I wrote it. But because it's a reharm and not just the same thing rehashed, different tempo, it's a reharm, so it shines a different light on it. It's like the return from the waterfront. It's earthing. It's like regrounding. You know what I mean? Same idea in mind, but you're returning to the shore with what you've learned abroad, if you will. Wow, that's deep, my dude. So that's the sequel to The Waterfront. It's called Earthing. It's the last song on the record. And yes, it exists. It's also the first song I wrote for the record. And it's the first time, I think, in Interval's history that the first song written for the project was not song 1. And it ended up being the last song. I wrote this record and I had 2 through 8, and I didn't feel like I had song 1. And then 5-HTP was born. Fun fact. Okay, so there was something else that I wanted to. Somebody said schizos are never alone. Shout out to Tim. Tim's not my imaginary friend. Tim is the person in the chat. Okay, very good.
Yes.
So
Clear
what
distinction.
have you been? Yeah, clear distinction. No, his name is not Tim. What have you been listening to recently? Oh my God. Let's just do that thing where you pull up the
Spotify.
Yeah, I mean, I've been binging the Downbeat podcast from Craig Reynolds from Straight from the Path. If anyone knows Craig, shout out to Craig. Next Thursday, we're doing it. The Downbeat podcast. I'm so excited. He's freaking hilarious, and he's one of my favorite people. So I'm really excited for that. Shout out to Craig. Okay, so yeah, Architects just dropped that Animal song yesterday. Whoa,
Yes,
let's go, dude. That was.
Yep.
I mean, I'm a fan, regardless, been a fan from the very beginning, the literal beginning, the MySpace days. You can't touch that.
The top 8s.
No, yeah, literally. Like, I remember I saw them with like a Textbook Tragedy in Toronto and like a hole in the wall. Pretty sure it was like the Elma Combo or something like that. I'm talking out of the side of my head. People are like, what? Okay, yeah, obviously, shout out Craig, Internal Atomics from Straight from the Path. What a ripper of an album. Oh my goodness. I'm all over the place, guys. It's gonna be a weird one. Reap What You Sow by Better Off. I'm obsessed with this record. They're a Nashville group. It's kind of like post-punky, kind of emo, post-hardcore punk. Like, we have hand tattoos, but we're also very in touch with our emotions, and we have jazz masters kind of vibe. Love it. It's a great record. I discovered that a couple years ago on tour, actually, but this one just pops up all the time. I'm literally just scrolling through recently played. Technicolor by Covet. Apparently I'm a fangirl. Rocking my Cover shirt right now. Shout out to Vet and everybody else in the band. Big fan. And then I just do this thing where I just crank like old stuff from my past. So I had In Love and Death by The Used. Right after that, I can't make my mind up about the music that I like, apparently. And then I'll just give you a couple more. This is just recently played on Spotify, so this isn't everything per se, but it's just things that I've listened to recently. Perennial by my good friend Josh Della Victoria, who played on the song that we released last week, and the playthrough went up yesterday. It's called Lock and Key, and it's track 4 from my record. That new Volume song rips. I think it's called Waited. I think is that one. Super good. And then lastly, I'll just give you guys a couple more and then we'll keep it moving. Maury Pringle's Sunday Lines EP is so good. If you guys don't know about Maury Pringle, he's a British guitar player. Absolutely slaps. And then I got a random single on here called Close to Calm by my friend Horace Bray, who's a guitar player maybe you guys know from Instagram. Wonderful little piece of music, good stuff, and then just a shit ton of podcasts and various other things. So yeah, I'm all over the place, honestly. Like, I don't know how to like ever gauge the people ask me like the favorite band question or the favorite like I'm just all over the place. I literally like I wrote out 5 of my favorite bands or records and stuff because I know Craig's gonna ask it next Thursday, and it's a weird list. I looked at it and I just went, okay, so I am clinically insane. Okay, got it. So yeah,
PC would be well-rounded is the PC term. Is well-rounded.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, but I'm self-diagnosed, so I can't get canceled for calling myself crazy. Come on.
Right. Exactly.
Yes. Okay. Very good.
Somebody
in the chat knows about Textbook Tragedy. Very good. There's a great band. If you guys want to just dive into some Canadian music that you've probably never heard of and you like insane riffs and aggressive, terrifying music, everybody go check out Intimidator by A Textbook Tragedy. That's Adam Christensen's band, and Adam is the guitar in Architects. So Adam is from Vancouver. He's a fellow Canuck, and Textbook used to tour with Architects, and then he got the Architects gig. And yeah, such a sick band. Everyone go check out Intimidator. I also saw somebody mention Say Hello to Sunshine by Finch. which is in my list of top records. That's a weird one. Everyone should go check that out. Everyone's going, Finch, really? It's not the like What It Is to Burn sound. It's the Proc record they made afterwards where their fans completely didn't understand the album they just made, which is very unfortunate for the like lineage of their career. But what an unbelievable record. That's where I learned you can use motifs in various songs, and you can have riffs that function in multiple places on the same record, and you can do all the weird things that people tell you you're not supposed to do. That record is so sick.
Yeah, one of my favorite musicians who's also Canadian is Devin Townsend. He definitely reuses like themes and variations throughout his music, and I it's fun because it's nice to like pick those little elements out. Like, oh, I know this one. That was in that other album. That was from Deconstruction was great. Like,
the chat is. Yeah, I'm really fucking with the chat. First of all, my manager's in here. Shout out Richard Fernandez. He said Rain City, man. That was they're from Vancouver. Also, they have a Rain City EP. We're still talking about Textbook Tragedy. Somebody randomly is just thrown in here. Exile and Oblivion was a sick strung out record. Yeah, it is. Everything Strung Out's ever made is unbelievable. People are like, Strung Out? Who's that? Go check out Strung Out. Exile and Oblivion, Twisted by Design, Blackhawks over Los Angeles, all that shit. So good. I'm obsessed with that band. I love that band so much. Randy said Young Richard. Yeah, we got a little, we got the family in here. I love this. Thank you for coming and hanging out, guys.
Yeah, this is awesome.
This is definitely cool. Thoughts on Matthew Good, wicked talented Canadian songwriter. Ryan, are you from Canada? Because a lot of people don't know about Matthew Good. I can't say I'm a giant Matthew Good fan, but like when I was growing up, it was like the stuff on the radio. If you turned into like alt rock radio, you'd hear like Our Lady Peace and I Mother Earth and Matthew Good and stuff like that. There's so much good Canadian music that people don't know about. Big Wreck, Billy Talent, Mariana's Trench, Alexis on Fire. Can go on forever. But yeah, fuck yeah. This is sick. Somebody said Bieber. I mean, yeah. I love Purpose is such a freaking wicked record. I don't know. Are people not fucking with Bieber? I mean, I'm like Yummy or Yum Yum or whatever this garbage is not my speed, but Purpose was so sick, and there's so many great songs and the compositions are amazing. And yeah, somebody says R.I.P. Alexis on Fire. They just pop up when it's time to get the bag. Don't say R.I.P. They just did nothing for years and then just played a 16,000 capacity sold out show 2 nights in a row in Toronto last summer. So don't say R.I.P. because everybody needs to eat food. So
word.
Somebody said, what do you think of Tycho? Tycho, yeah. Somebody also asked, the same person asked about Boards of Canada. I can't say that I delved too hard on Boards of Canada. Tycho, I just saw him at the Sony Center last year. Oh my goodness. What an experience that was. And Poolside opened, and I discovered Poolside, and wow. They're so sick. But yeah, Tycho, I could just get lost in some Tycho for sure. Thinking of Tycho makes my wallet nervous for synths.
Yeah, dude, I'm
37 is on the list. I need one.
Yeah. I've been looking into those recently because I feel I want to start like branching out into different elements right now. But yeah,
absolutely. Well, shout out to Roland because they blessed me with a System 8, and it's sitting right here next to me, and I love it dearly. And it's on the record. You're going to hear it right away on track 3. It's the opening synth at the beginning of that song. And in various other places across the record. But oh my God, it's so cool. But I need that Moog stuff.
Right.
Well, now it's getting nervous, but plugins are great too, but
yeah, they're fine. But yeah, having the physicals models in your hands is just a completely different experience.
Different thing for sure.
Yeah. Let's see. Nathan Walsh Haynes is asking, what makes a great drummer? What kind of drummer do you look for in your material? That's a good question.
Attitude, energy, pocket. It's not about chops. It's not about like, can you do the same thing every other drummer in the genre is doing or the things that you expect. It's not about that. It's about attitude, energy, and pocket. And Nathan has all of those things, which is why it's just a no brainer. We also are very much like, we think about drums the same way. And that was even before we like really started to like work together on tunes. So we're just, there's just a natural synergy there. But yeah, I just feel is everything really. And then like also, yeah, and gelling with a drummer that like, like the things that are coming out of your head are things that are very, they're very capable of and comfortable with. So just, that's what matters the most. And then like actually paramount to all of those things is like being a quality hang. Like you got to be, it's got to be a vibe. That goes for any member of the, crew or band, whatever. So once you're a sick human being, then vibe, energy, pocket, attitude, all that stuff. So yeah.
Solid. I wholeheartedly agree. Gotta be a good person first. That gets you in the door.
Oh, you can't be touring if you're, no. We've all met those guys. So you can't be doing that. You won't last out there.
This is a good question from Drusif Reynolds.
Hey.
Yeah, he says, are you a Bills fan?
A Bills fan?
Yeah.
Are we sporting?
I have no idea. He left the comment, so I'm like, maybe there's something there. Maybe I'm not. I don't know.
Drew, what's up with the curveball question? Are we sports? Because I kind of don't. Like the Buffalo Bills? Like, what are we talking about? I think he feels like he needed to throw me a really strange question. It's been a minute, Drew, and that's a weird one to say hi with. So I love you and I miss you dearly. I saw him at NAMM. He ran up on me in the Rev booth. I saw him in like a closet at NAMM. That was the last I saw him, unfortunately. Love that guy. Everyone go subscribe to all of Drusif's things. He's so good.
Yeah, he's been good. He's been doing some good stuff recently.
Just everything, man. It's like he just makes cool shit. And I love, you want to talk about attitude? There's a guy with some freaking attitude, man. Oh my goodness. Love that so much. Somebody says max bench press. We're in a pandemic and they closed the gym on me again 2 weeks ago or whatever it's been now. I barely got it back in August. I deloaded for 16 weeks or whatever because of the lockdown and everything. Canada, Ontario took it really seriously. So I had no gym for a really long time. Obviously, just like everybody else that went back to the gym afterwards, numbers were not so hot. And then I also realized there's a lot of like mobility and guitar related posture things that probably need to get corrected and fixed before we go tearing rotator cuffs clean off my body. So, also disclaimer, bench has never been my favorite. At least traditional bench press. I like to use free weights for bench or for chest and good old push-ups. But I'm not so fond of the bench press. Just from I have some slight shoulder impingement in this right shoulder from literally playing guitar my whole life. And, there's some things we're working on. And I'm also dealing with a herniated disc right now, which is wonderful. Yeah, that's not like that sounds a lot worse than it is. It's just like just enough to cause a little bit of sciatica. I ordered a sit stand desk and I can't wait for it. I got a really good one too that's got like rack space in it and everything. I needed an excuse to change the feng shui in here anyway. So that is going to be exciting. I can't wait to actually create on my feet all day. For guys who sit in a chair and make music all day long or do these types of things, I'm sure they're all going, oh, I'd love that. I mean, I've been dreaming of it for years. I finally pulled the trigger. I want to need it.
Yeah, no. Well, that actually kind of makes me curious. Like, how seriously do you take your physical health? Because not many people I know who are guitar players or musicians know the word impingement. Like, right? Like, is that how important is that to you?
I mean, I'm doing the physio, I'm doing the chiro, I'm doing it all. Just from years of guitar playing and being so like forward dominant because everything you do is in front of you. My forward head carriage was so bad. Like we got neck x-rays and it was like a joke. Like my cervical was just straight. There was no curvature in it or anything. So I spent a bunch of time working on that. And then through obviously, chiro and then doing there's some modalities you can do at home. Like you lay on this thing to reshape your neck. Yeah, this is really exciting stuff, guys.
That's brutal.
But
Brutal.
you know, yeah, but you know what? A lot of guitar guys are probably sitting there going, "Oh shit, that's me. Oh shit, that's me."
Yeah, dude.
There's a lot of things that you can't do with a janky neck, like put a barbell on your back, or there's like a lot of mobility issues, and they will come to get you. So, I take it seriously. Yeah, absolutely. Do chiro twice a week, and I'm in physio once a week. Electroacupuncture, cupping, other sorts of physical modalities, and then of course training for mobility. So right now it's like I'm doing foundation training, if anyone knows what that is. Really exciting stuff. Where if you Google foundation training, you'll see what that is. But it's like decompression, expansive decompression, posture, and breathing. It's like a 15-minute routine where you're stood in one place, and they're myostatic type holds, but you're breathing for decompression. So it's like abdominal breathing and expansive breathing while you posture in certain ways, and you're stood in one place sweating buckets. It is so challenging. It is so hard to do. It's the things that we should all be doing that we don't ever do,
Right.
For fixing your neck and breathing space into your diaphragm to give room for your organs and lengthening your spine. It's like you're literally decompressing like the way you would on an inversion table or like a chiropractor would, physically on your feet, using nothing but your own breath. Whew, it's crazy. And I was doing really good before the lockdown and everything, but deloading definitely like sort of highlighted a bunch of probably stuff that was happening that I wasn't like aware of, because when you do have, a good amount of muscle on you and certain things are strengthened and stuff, there might be some things you're not really noticing. And then they took the gym away, and there's only so much you can do with like a couple of dumbbells and some body weight. So of course, things changed. And then, and there was a lot of stuff I was doing for physical and mental health as well prior to all of that, like cold exposure. Was doing twice a week. I was doing cold plunges with the infrared sauna. I never felt better. And then all of a sudden this thing happened, and, we had to all stay inside for a really long time. I don't care how fit you are, how motivated you are, you're going to lose some progress. So, and then I had to make a record. So I needed to spend time with that. It is what it is. But yeah, physical health is super important. Everyone, I'll leave it at that, because I don't want to bore everyone who doesn't care about things like that. But yeah.
No, man, I definitely get that. It's an overlooked aspect of being a musician, is that we just sit around and play guitar, and like I have all of these like imbalances with my musculature and everything. Like I don't have enough muscle on my body currently, so like I'm working towards changing that. But yeah, no, it's super important. It's super important.
It's really important. A lot of people think that just sitting there and playing guitar is just like something that, you don't need to have like a frame for that. It's like, oh, you do, because your lower back will come get you, your neck will come get you, your shoulders will come get you, and then you don't even want the rest of it, which is carpal tunnel, RSI, all these types of things that come from. It's all postural. It all comes from your neck. I have thoracic outlet syndrome from putting a Les Paul in a hook when I used to work at a guitar store, and like my first rib, like clavicle scenario, like shifted. Just doing that maneuver where you balance the weight of the body in one hand and you just put it back in the hook. And this is when I worked at Steve's Music in Toronto, and somebody was trying out a Les Paul. I'm on a stool, I'm putting it back, and just pop one day. Then all of a sudden, a couple days later, this is right around the time I was recording the first Intervals EP, I just started getting this weird, like strange circulation issues in this right arm, some weird stuff going on. I was battling that for a really long time. That's definitely where this impingement came from, was like everything shifted and changed positions in here. And yeah, so I have one of those Theragun things. I have to use it on my arms all the time to like keep muscles and circulation, nerve stuff working correctly. Oh yeah, being a guitar player is easy, they said. It would be so fun, they said. No, I'm being a jackass. But yeah, definitely just take care of yourself, guys. Take care of yourself.
Yeah, let's get back to some tones.
Just that I only care about gent. I mean, I feel like that's just in the chat. So we'll get to the tone. Let's do tone. Okay.
Yeah. So Mikey77 is asking, hey, could you please state your top 5 favorite modern guitarists? Or maybe even I would even put a modifier on this. It's like modern guitarists that you like that maybe don't get enough attention.
Yeah, I like that one. I like that
Yeah.
one better because everyone knows the other ones.
Yeah, favorites are easy, but I think giving somebody else a shout out's better.
Plenty and I were talking about this on our live stream the other day. Oh yeah, let's get all the homies. Let's gas up all the homies. We'll start with Joseph because he's in the chat talking pure shit out the side of his head, but he's such a sick guitar player. Joseph Anajar in the chat. Joseph _is_rad on Instagram. That's my guy. He's from Montreal. He's so sick. Thomas Griggs, also second guitar player at times for intervals. Griggly Bear on Instagram. What an absolute animal. Oh my God. Such a sick guitar player. I'll probably give you more than 5. I'm just going to go.
Go for it.
Shout out all the homies. Joss Allen. Sick British guitar player. Love his attitude. He's such a funny guy. Love his videos. I think he's great. Let's see. That's 3. I mentioned Horace Bray. People probably know about Horace, but everyone go check out Horace. Somebody said at Josh Della. Of course, yeah, you would probably assume so, considering I featured him on the record. But yes, Joshua Della Victoria, unbelievable guitar player. He's so fucking sick. Let's see. Who else? Who else is really sick? Oh yeah, Colin Cook. We were talking about him the other day. He's great. Steven Taranto, if you guys don't know,
dude, he's a beast.
You get that's when monster. I said guitar was canceled. I was referring to Steven specifically. Somebody said Jakub. I mean, it's so funny that Jakub gets mentioned every time we're talking about the underdogs. I guess he truly is, but Jakub is like God tier in my eyes. Most of you guys should know about Jakub. If you guys don't know about Jakub, everyone go check out Jakub, of course. Sick Polish guitar player, fellow Mayonas player. So good. Casper Jalili, is that how you say his name? That dude rips. Holy. He's so good. I discovered him recently. He's a French guitar player. He's so good. Let's see. I kind of want to throw a few more in. Sam Jacobs, also second guitar for intervals at times, Canadian guitar player. You guys will probably know his stuff from the After Image. He also works for Rev Amplification. Sam rips. And Travis Levere, of course, who's the most recent second guitar player for intervals, who just did his first run with us in India. We just did 4 shows down there at the tail end of last year, and then we went right into the BTBM and Chon tour together. Travis is, I mean, you guys would know Travis from Entheos, Scale the Summit, all that stuff. Travis is amazing. Thomas Pankhurst, super sick. British guitar player. There's probably a lot more. I really don't want to miss anyone, but I don't want to be here doing this one all day. So yeah,
right.
Love all those guys for sure.
No, that's a good.
We talked about Sanjay plenty, and I talked about him the other day on the live stream. Yeah. And then I'm sure you guys can just keep throwing more in the chat, of course. Somebody says Petrucci is not bad too. I mean, he's not so bad, you know. Little dude named John Petrucci. He's not so bad.
He has a future in music, I think. You know.
He just might. Somebody said Emil Wursler. Let's go, Emil.
Yep.
Emil is. You know, yeah. I did a PRS event with him a few years ago, and it was so fun to play with him. So sick. Yeah, love Emil.
Let's see. So we know that you used Neural DSP plugins for the current album. So how did you connect with that, and what led you to commit to that tone for the album?
I just don't have time to worry anymore. I don't want to. You know what I mean? Can we just make that testimonial? Can we just brand that? Like, just print that? I just don't. My microphone is falling away from me because the floor is crooked in here. Now I had it where I wanted it. Yeah, stay. Okay. I don't have time to worry anymore, guys. We need tones, and we need them fast. I'm going to multitask. I said Tom Mondo. Let's go. Thank you, scientist. Okay. Anyway. So we were talking about this before we went live. I've always been extremely skeptical of guitar plugins because they've existed for a really long time. Everyone knows about Guitar Rig and all the things. I've been an Axe Effects guy since the inception of intervals. It was always the answer to getting, and it still is, of course. I actually believe that Fractal, as far as physical modeling, until something new potentially maybe exists towards the end of this year. But not to take away from Fractal at all. And I still think that they serve completely different purposes, to be honest. I can get into that and maybe clear that up for some people, because I think a lot of people believe that when like the new piece of gear comes out, it eclipses the old thing and now it all needs to be thrown in the garbage. That's actually not true. They serve different purposes. But okay, so plugins. I got a couple because I've known Doug for, because of the Dark Glass stuff, through Jacob, and just from just being a generally sick and inspiring human being.
He's a madman.
Absolute madman. He's one of my favorite people.
Same.
I wanted to, he's great. He's so inspiring. So I wanted to grab the plugins to try them out and see what all the fuss is about. And I immediately gelled with Archetype Nolly because, we have similar tastes. Those amps are extremely well curated. One plugin makes all the sounds I need to make. That's kind of hard to believe, but it literally just does. So why would you argue with the fact that you can take a cable, go straight to your audio interface, and provided you have a decent enough rig to not experience latency or anything, you get a one-to-one connection with amps that feel unreal, that are just cooking in the digital domain, and they feel so good. They react to volume and touch dynamics and sensitivity. And this is where plugins fall apart with competitors, is because they just don't feel right. They can sound good and you can track DIs and then flip through plugins. And of course, any of the competitors in a blind shootout, I might actually say, "Ooh, I like that one. Let's keep that one." But I have to like the way it feels. So over the last 2 records, we recorded scratch tracks and then we reamped DIs, and it's an arduous process, deciding on what feels good while you're recording versus what's going to live in the final product. And just to use The Way Forward as an example, I did 3 10-hour days to reamp all those guitars. That's 30 hours of my life on my hands and knees with a pedal board and a stack of amplifiers, of which are right here. The sound of The Way Forward is this Sir PT100 and that Triple Crown and my Morgan, which is out of frame currently. But it took a really long time to get that right. And while I'm down with that experience and it makes me feel good to use all my toys, if you can just get it fast, then why would you not, So I did all my pre-production with the neural plugins because it was just so easy. And I'm sending them around to the guys, I'm sending them around to other people, and they're like, "Man, your demos are sounding better than ever." I'm like, I didn't change anything. Literally the master chain in my Logic template didn't change. Nothing has changed. Well, all of a sudden there's all this stuff in the guitars that wasn't there before. And in the demos, I also used, I think it was Euro bass before I had Gin bass, but it was the Systematic Audio stuff or whatever Urban's company is called. But yeah, so that was the sound of the demos. And I was like, man, it's so good. So we're just going to record like that. So when Sam and I went to make the record, shout out Sam Guayana, who co-produced and engineered and mixed the latest record.
Right.
We actually tested a song with each other in March. He couldn't believe how fast we got tones, able to commit. I'm feeling good. It's the first time he was messing with the neural stuff. It was just so easy. I was like, this is how we're doing tracking. So we got all the tracking tones together. And then when it came to mix, I was like, what are we doing? And he's like, I think we already have them. And I was like, I know. I just asked because I felt like I needed to ask the question. But we had literally, guys, the tracking tones are the album tones. like, there might be a little additional EQ, a little bit of sauce. Maybe there's some extra little compression or some little tricks and some stylistic things here and there. Of course, Cali Sweet on rhythms, Nolly on all leads, a little bit of a bossy on cleans, couple of chewy, like mid gain, like darker kind of delicate leads from amp 2 from Plenty's, and that's it, man. That's the whole damn album. Bass is all parallax, a little bit of B7K. The whole album DSP. It's terrifying. It's so good, man.
It's so legit, though. Yeah, it's totally legit.
Totally legit. It feels great. You just can't. I mean, why? If it's not broke, don't fix it. And it's just so easy to get it. And we might not have met certain deadlines if I was going to spend 30 hours on guitars. So
sounds miserable.
Somebody's asking miserable. No, it's a good time, but like it's just a lot. Somebody says Corey Wong didn't exist yet when we started recording.
Yeah, because the Corey Wong was only a couple of months ago. I think. I don't know. Time is not a thing for me right now.
No, it's Tuesday forever. Tuesday in the Vortex. Corey Wong. Yeah, I mean, first of all, Corey's a legend. So good. That plugin is very well curated. There's so much going on. I just got to spend some time with it, find the things that I like about it. But I just reach for Nolly like 95% of the time, just because those are the amps that I would use. That's what I would do. I'll be completely honest. I haven't found much of a purpose for the hot amp, for amp 4.
Right.
It's a funky one for sure. It's got a thing, but it's not my thing. I like the 5150 for the full tilt leads, and I can do everything else with the 800. Come on, dude.
Yes.
And you turn the gain down on that thing, and you turn up you bright switch, gain down, position 2, compressor on snappy. What the reverb delay? I'm writing entire sections just with that because I love that feeling and I love that sound. I'm writing whole ass riffs. And then I'll go and like arm the track with the 5150 and then purpose all of the different things. But when I'm jamming, I am jamming with that amp. It's so good. And it's what I do with this. It's what I do with that. I just use pedals to do it, of course. Got the Wazacraft tube amp expander. Love that. I can do all that here. So good. But it's a different thing, right? It's the same thing I do with the Morgan setup. Bogner Harlow, Friedman HBE pedal, a little bit of sauce in the loop is a done deal, but I can get really close to those sounds in the box with one cable. And then I can tweak it later because it's DIs.
Yes.
I mean, it sounds like we're selling cars in here, but it's like, it's so good. It's just so good. So,
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, I think that was like the initial selling point, because I bought the Fortin Nameless before I started working for Neural. And I had no intention to, actually. Originally, I was doing like a test mix for a friend's band. I just moved down to LA, and they were working on an album, and they're like, "Hey, did you check out this Nameless thing?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I heard a couple of things, a couple of good things from friends." And I was like, "Okay, well, I'll download the demo." It's like to set my mindset. I just moved to LA. I'm living in a cardboard box, basically. So I have like almost no money, and I'm doing like audio work to try and like, keep myself eating food. So I was like, well, I'll download the demo. I'll try it on the track, and I'll send them to mix and see if they like it. And if they like it, I'll take the money out of what they're going to pay me for it. 15 minutes after I downloaded the demo, I just bought it. Like I just straight bought it. Like, I'm like, I don't have the money for this, but I need this in my life.
Dude, I mean, look, if stuff is good, it's just good. Like,
yep.
That's it, man. If it makes your life easy, and like, I think that's the biggest thing with any musical equipment or any tools for creativity. It doesn't even have to be music. We could be talking about a tablet for drawing. It needs to be so damn transparent that it's as if you're just painting in thin air, or the music is just falling out of your ears. It's like, that's, you know what I mean? That's just how it needs to be. I don't know. I don't like resistance.
I totally agree.
Yeah,
I think even in the God, we did that Nolly piece on the YouTube channel, and something that he mentioned on the little interview part was like, well, I can just sit down and just start writing music. Like he strikes me as the sort of person who will just sit down and just tweak forever on knobs.
That's
because his ears.
The point.
Yeah, it's like it's so sensitive and so like particular about things, but then you have this product that comes in and just straight out of the gate, like I pick up the Fortin Cali and I just set it like it's just default settings, and I instantly have a good rhythm tone, like, and I can just go and just write and just have fun and be creative. Like that's the real thing. Let me say
this as well. Absolutely. And I totally agree, because I'll spend all day on tones and then I'll lose the plot with the idea. Let me say this though. This is the biggest pitfall in modeling, whether it's hardware, plugins, whatever. IRs will ruin your life. So when you open this plugin and everything is optimized and it's the right cab with the right mics, and it's like ready to go, that makes every move that you're going to make in the preamp or the amplifier or wherever else, it makes that so personal to you, but it doesn't take you a universe away from, you know, the ballpark. Because we all know when you start flipping through folders of IRs, you start comparing things, you have no idea what's what anymore. It used to drive me nuts. I could never figure out how to decide on IRs for, like, for example, like live, when I'm getting like patches together for the Axe effects and stuff. I know there's a bunch of them, but what I started doing whenever I would redesign all my live sounds is I would just go to like my friends that do audio all the time and know this stuff really, really well. And I'd be like, top 5 IRs, and just email them to me or just put them in a Dropbox for me. And then I'll be like, give me 3, you know, and I don't want options. I just want to know, like, this is balanced. There's no funky behavior in the mids. It's going to sound the way I want it to sound. And then I can make my moves to personalize the front end. I don't want to worry about the back end because I lose the plot every time. So when we open up Cali and it's just like, okay, I just need it to saturate. I need it to purr. I want it to be like low enough gain that it's like, you can hear my pick attack, but it's like ferocious enough that it's cutting through a mix. I'm not worrying about microphones, cabinets. I know Sam was in there tweaking and moving things around a little bit. Totally fine. That's what you're there to do. I don't want to worry about that because I will get so frustrated, worry, like, you know, like just spinning my wheels over, like, are the mids correct? Is the high end that I can't do it. It's giving me anxiety thinking about it. IRs drive me freaking nuts. So I'm getting very agitated thinking about IRs, the rabbit hole that is impulse responses. So I just love that each plugin is curated so well for that, where I know that the moves I'm going to make are just, it's just there. It just sounds good. So that's just great. And this is actually, let me just toss this in before we maybe switch lanes, because we touched on it at the beginning. Like, you know, obviously hardware is coming from Neural and everyone's like, oh, this is the thing. And out of, you know, of course, guys, love the products. I'm here on Neural DSP's socials talking about plugins, and yes, I have a quad cortex coming. I can't wait for the damn thing. So exciting. Got to be great. But as like a 7-8 year fractal guy, guys, they don't go in the bin just because other stuff comes out. It's about purpose. And I'm going to tell you guys why you might want quad cortex versus the fractal. And this is an unbiased opinion from somebody who knows both products.
Sure.
If you're doing a shit ton of stuff that's like very era specific, okay? And this is probably not a lot of people in this chat, and it's probably not a lot of people that consume the Neural stuff. Like, you need to get specifically this JMP or that Vox feeling squishy and saggy with that weird old guy tone that's supposed to sound like this. You know what? He's laughing because he knows exactly what I'm talking about. If we're doing era specific cover band scenarios, if we're doing Pink Floyd, if we're doing these types of things, you might want the endless library of era specific tones and abilities that come from something like the fractal. And if you've got a head on your shoulders to curate all of that, and you know that that's what you want, and you've got your custom shop strat and you're going for that thing, you might want that. Okay. If you play live and you make this kind of music and there is like sort of a curated variety of core tones that you go for, like a guy like me, where I love area specific tones. Do I use them on an intervals project? No. You know my sounds. My sounds are like a mid gain tone that sounds balanced on humbuckers, and then when I go position 2, throw the compressor in front, it twangs. Okay, we know that sound. Everyone knows that sound. Balls to the wall lead. Okay, balls to the wall dry rhythm. Okay, some cleans with some sauce. That's like 5 core tones. That's all I ever use. I can make variations of all of those things to do the things that I want. And something like the neural stuff is curated exactly what guys like me and guys like you that make this kind of music, you know, they've put that together to take the thinking out. Just like we were talking about with IRs, the thinking is gone. It's the sick 5150. It's the one out of all the variations. It's the good one. It's the one that you want. It's not the one you think you want. It's the sick 800 with the correct mod that reacts to the pickup switching and it does all that. You know what I mean? It's the amps you want to make this kind of music. So it's geared towards guys like us. Do you tour? Do you play live at all? You probably want that one. It's going to be really simple. It's built like a tank. It's got a touch screen interface. It's organized. It's awesome. AX8 is great too. FM3 is great too. They're different things. And if you need a wide array of era specific tones, you might want something else. If you make modern rock, metal, fusion, all that kind of stuff, and you don't like thinking too much, and you just know that you like an 800 or you like a 5150, you like a Friedman, you like these types of things, Quad Cortex. It's just stop thinking, start making. And if you like to think and make, you might want something else, but that's up to you. Am I correct?
Well, I feel like so I feel like obviously the modeling in the Quad Cortex is going to be outstanding. I'm really, really excited to see everything that it can capture as far as the because it's not just capturing heads, but you're able to capture pedals, preamps. You can do all sorts of shit. Like I plan on going into the studio that I used to be in, because I used to be in a studio before the pandemic hit, and I'm working out of my living room right now. But like I'm excited to go back into the studio for like 2 days and just like capture all like 20, 30 amplifiers and like the drawers of pedals and everything that they have. Like everything that you're going to be able to do with that. Like the modeling is so advanced that it's like it's basically building everything from scratch. Like it's building the entirety of it from scratch. And I think as far as like you said, like I feel like the experience is going to be in line with the rest of the neural products in so far as like it's going to be so simple and easy to come up with amazing tones. Like, and if you like, and honestly, like if you wanted some of those old guy rock tones, like the saggy kind of stuff, like I feel like you can still get that with the Quad Cortex.
You certainly can. I wasn't saying that you can't or so, but it takes the thinking out, and then you don't have to like try every era of bassman to find the one that squishes and sags the way that one. It's exactly. Just curated differently, and it boils down to user interface and experience, just like you're saying. A lot of archetype weird old guy happening in the chat, by the way, just in case. You're welcome.
That's one of my favorite memes in the Facebook group is people just saying like archetype random shit. Like it gets a little old and it got banned from the Facebook group, but just know that that's one of my favorite things that's come from the Facebook group. As like a moderator, I had to like step back because people were starting to get hostile. But
no, can't be doing that.
That's a perfect way to put it though. Like as far as like curating the different profiles and everything, like it's definitely going to be different. But I'm really excited. I'm very excited to see what everybody's going to be creating with the Quad Cortex, because obviously like there are so many products that we've put out so far that have been used in ways that I didn't expect to be done. Like my buddy who's really good at productions, Gabe Carballo, has been using the parallax on his synths to get like weird like saturation and stuff like that, and it just sounds so sweet. It sounds so sick.
You're gonna have to try that.
It's awesome. I followed his lead and I did a little bit of a video on the channel a couple of weeks back, and I was like, I just had fun with it, man. I just had so much fun with it.
Dude, that's what I'm going to run my subsequent 37 through. Let's go, dude. Yeah,
Dude.
Amongst other things, of course, as well. But oh man, yeah, that's so cool. I'm excited. Like I said, I immediately put down the pre-order for the Quad Cortex just because, like you and I were talking about before, we're always looking for options for things like touring, and international touring is something we do a lot of. The fly rig needs to fit in a Pelican, and it needs to have, I mean, from what I understand, we might be able to bring one, not two. And we might actually even be able to do one for bass and both guitars.
Mm-hmm.
So, which I've seen guys do with the Axe FX3, they're running multiple inputs. We use two of them because in the A rig, I'm not taking no chances, but as far as the B rig goes and flying, man, if we only have to travel with one Pelican, we're saving so much money on overhead, and oversized equipment and all that stuff. It's just, yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's exciting to me. So
yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. Well, yeah. I want to be considerate of your time. So let's go ahead and just put in for some final questions in the chat. We'll go through a handful more and then start wrapping things up. Let's see.
Yeah. And shout out to everybody who's been in the chat, everyone who's been chilling. You guys are sick. This is really fun.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate being here with you guys. So yeah, if there's anything else that you want to know, I mean, the obvious one that comes up 100 times a day on my socials, comes up on your guys' too. Elephant in the room is everyone's asking about when's archetype, intervals or whatever. I mean, look, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. Doug knows where I stand on products. I'm here on the channel. Yep. Here's the thing you guys need to know about how big companies plan business. There's a calendar that exists far beyond anything that you're thinking about. If you think Quad Cortex is the only thing on these guys' radar, these guys are so far dialed. Randy says, Archetype Eternal Sleep Chamber Cartwheel Experiment. Yes, that is an extremely inside joke.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, Randy, it's Archetype Voyeuristic Alley Nymph and the Eternal I Can't Say It Experiment. No, I'll get canceled for that one. But that's some very inside humor. Okay. Yeah, guys, I'd be down in a heartbeat. They got plans. I'm doing other stuff too. It comes together when the synergy, just when it all lines up. Obviously, these guys get tagged a bajillion times. It's not like they don't know that people are wanting it. It's not, they know.
I get notifications all day long. I have to turn off my phone notifications because I can't.
There we go. You see, guys, it's working. So keep doing that. But they're aware, I've talked to all the powers that be. It'll happen when it's supposed to happen. And that's another thing. I feel like a lot of people, they put a lot of I don't know, there's a lot of emphasis on these types of things like signature products. I'm getting hounded about the guitar thing all the time as well, because it's, people are like, when is this happening? And, obviously I've had multiple relationships. I've played a lot of different things. And at the end of the day, guys, I'm not going to just put my name on something that I'm not completely in love with. And it's not a means to an end for me. Some guys you'll see, they leave a brand and then it's like all of a sudden their signature guitar is coming out with another company. They've never even played one. All of a sudden here's this signature thing that they're so in love with. Or it's just not real. How am I going to brand something and sell you guys something that I'm not completely enamored with? I have to absolutely love it. My journey's been a long one in which I'm picky, and for the right reasons, because when the time comes for whatever these products are, and there's lots of discussions about stuff, it has to be perfect. I'm not selling you a lemon. I'm just not, because I've never done that with my music. I don't do that with you guys personally. I'm extremely transparent.
Well, I think that actually highlights an interesting thing. So I watched the doc behind this current album that's coming up. I watched that on YouTube a couple of days ago, and you said something that really kind of struck me, was that it's is it in line with the brand? Like, because you as a artist, as a musician, like obviously you have your band Intervals, but I feel like Aaron Marshall in itself is a brand, like, and you treat it as such. This is a business, and you have to make sure that the quality of the content that you're putting out is in line with what you expect of your own brand.
Yes, and I feel, while there is a bit of a distinction, I do also feel completely synonymous with Intervals, because it's just like a moniker for me. Like, my name isn't going to look sick on t-shirts, so, and you can't put Marshall on there because that is already copyright. So no, really, at the end of the day, it's like I'm synonymous with the brand and its music, but that also is like a whole ecosystem. Like, you guys see, like, when we're on tour and we're making the daily vlogs and stuff, you see how many moving parts there are and how many guys, when we're going, we're employing like 9 people at a time. Like, everything that I do needs to be, the right foot forward for my whole team. It's not just about me. And we've built something here that is, the natural sort of evolution of everything that this entity has just become over the last couple of years. And I want everything to be in lockstep with that. People are asking about the guitar. I still see this as the Mayo signature coming in 2021. I have things hiding in cases. There's stuff, right? You've actually, funny enough, you've seen one in broad daylight, but it's a shapeshifter. It's not the thing you think it is. You guys can take what you will from that, but we're experimenting with things. We're playing around with stuff. There's ultimately something coming that it's going to be a curveball for you, because everyone thinks they know when they see me with a new guitar. They're like, there it is. We're experimenting. We're trying stuff. There is a larger plan at hand. It needs to be executed in a particular way. But in order to move forward with certain details and not stall on time, we build things, we play with things. They look like other things you think they look like, but they're not the thing that they're going to become. So it's hiding in plain sight. It's a combination of things you've seen me with. It's not the thing you think it is. It's coming. Taking our time, because I have to love it to put my name on it and tell you that it's mine and that you should want to spend your hard-earned money on it too. Never going to sell you a lemon. Promise you that. And that goes for whether it's guitar, pedal, plug-in, anything. We have aspirations to do all of these things. They will come when the time is right and when we're all 100% unanimously in love with those things. So that's that. It will be called Archetype Weird Old Guy. I promise you. Yep. That is the branding. You heard it here first. We will not be calling it Archetype Boomer. Whoever said that is crazy. Joseph said, well, that's cryptic. I mean, I like to be cryptic though. That's I kind of want, like, while I'm exploring and taking my time, because there is no rush. I don't need the thing. To be honest, I feel the best when I get to play whatever I want, because I don't like feeling boxed in creatively. But cat and mouse is fun. Like, I want to play cat and mouse with it. I want you guys to ask questions and guess at it, because nobody's nailed it yet. So, our
marketing is based off of that entirely. Just being able to just tease the upcoming things. Yeah.
I'm seeing somebody saying, they've put Aristides and they've got the little frown face. Why are you sad? It's a amicable working relationship in which they offered me instruments. I love them. They're still here in this room. I play them all the time. They're lovely. Pascal and the guys make unbelievable guitars. Let me just frame something for you. It's not always what you think it is. So there's no room to develop a product. They all come out anatomically the same when you think about that guitar. How could I wholeheartedly, and you'll notice, wear your signature instrument for them? Where is it? Right? Okay. So we got that out of the way. Is that the motivating factor for me to change up? No, because doing a signature instrument isn't the driving factor in me working with a company. We had a great working relationship. I still absolutely adore and advocate for those guitars like crazy. But just because I've decided that I want to do something else and there was another opportunity for me to grow and develop somewhere, doesn't mean that all the Aristides go in the bin or that you need to be sad because I'm not playing them. They're all still part of my collection. I love guitars in general. It's nothing to be sad about. I'm sure you've all had relationships with people that aren't in your life anymore. And it doesn't mean that it ended in a bloodbath. It just means that people grow apart and they move on and they just go different ways. And that's just the only difference between your relationships And my relationships is mine happen on camera and yours don't.
Yes.
I don't know about all the things that the people you don't talk about or talk to anymore. You guys get it, right? So it is a little bit funky when people like send frown emojis about brands, and it's like you don't even know. Don't get bummed out about things that you don't know about. I'm just living my damn life. The difference is I have a camera on me. That's it. Weird way to put it, but
no. I think that's 100% true. People have taken liberties with my own personal space as well. I've had to block a couple of people who have already been blocked in the Facebook group, and it's when people put expectations on you because you're in the public eye. That's really what it is. Like they expect you to do certain things. But it's like, no, you don't. Like there is a life behind the camera. Like there are elements that you are not privy to that should never be, made public, honestly.
No, a lot of this stuff isn't people's business. It really isn't, Yeah. It just, there's a lot that goes on that the peanut gallery, and I don't mean that in like an offensive way. I just mean like when people start like, getting emotional or like insinuating certain things, it is how it comes across when it's like you don't have all of the details. So don't act like, it's the way you think it is, because 99% of the time it just really isn't. But it's not worth me like in the comment section explaining to you why I felt uncomfortable with this person and this happened or whatever, or like we just decided that maybe it's not, or this happened or I had another opportunity. None of it's important. It doesn't. I'm just living life.
Sure. So. No, and I think that's the important thing is just to continue moving on and making the best decisions for yourself. Ultimately.
Here's a great one. Somebody said he's just jumping between brands to get free guitars off all his favorite brands. It's just simply not the case. You couldn't be, you see, and Steve's laughing because he couldn't be farther from the truth. That's the exact thing people think it is. And that's it's such an at a glance perspective of that. I mean, man, like getting free stuff at this point, it's just like, if I wanted to, we could just go buy all the guitars that I want. It's like, we're just not doing that. It's based on relationships. It has nothing to do with getting free things or anything like that. And I don't know. People seem to get confused about these types of things. And maybe it's because endorsements are confusing for some people, or like the concept of endorsement as well is also what a rabbit hole this discussion is, but it's such a it's just about relationships, and that's all it really is. Mm-hmm. Look, it's 2020. Guitars are all sick. I walk into a music store right now and pull a guitar off the mid tier and do what I do, get all my tones, be comfortable, and love it. You know what I mean? So it's like guitars are all sick. It has nothing to do with that. It's the people. It's how it makes you feel when you work with that company. It's the attention they're investing in you, how much they love what you're doing. And if there's room for stuff, then that's just a bonus. But there are numerous places I've been along my journey where that's never been the goal. And it's not a driving factor for certain things. Just elements and variables change. And everyone's just living their life. And that's really, it is what it is. Anyhow. Somebody said TLDR, mind your business. I mean, it's not really like that. I mean, everybody is entitled to the comments and to infer the things that that's what social media is. It's totally all good. Just remember sometimes that if it was you and you were dealing with something, and this isn't even just about gear, it could be about member changes in bands. That's a really touchy one with a lot, where there's like an amicable parting. There's really no bad blood. Somebody moves on, and then it's just like they're writing the whole band off. Everyone's assuming something happened. If you don't know and you still like the music, just keep it moving. Support the music you like. Stop investing in he said, she said, because social media has created this dynamic with artists that never existed prior to any of this. If you were to read like the Motley Crue book or like any of those like and guys get canceled for so much less these days. And I'm not advocating any types of behavior, but it was glorified at a certain point because you couldn't check Twitter about it. So it was like this thing that was, it was part of their story. You wouldn't cancel Tommy Lee for the things that he did. That was just the time, and it's era specific, right? Now we all live under the microscope, but just remember, there's just always just more to this stuff, you know? So weird tangent, but I don't know. I just felt like sometimes it comes up in this circle often, and I think that audio science recordings, I know you were joking, but I use it as a example because we see it all the time. So it just,
No, this business is built off of relationships, and relationships, just like people, change over time. I think that was really, really well stated. Well, I mean, like, it's an interesting, and these are things that I want to kind of talk about on the Q&A with people, is those elements behind the scene that people don't really get to know about. Like, it's fascinating that was, that seems like a pain point. It seems like that's something that you kind of deal with on a regular basis.
I've tuned it out. I mean, I had to, it when things come up on your radar all the time that you can't help, especially because of what we were just describing with social media, certain things that you can't see around. But I like a little opportunity to sometimes just like poke back at it and make people think a little bit, because when else do you get that chance? I'm not going to draw up a post and be like, hey, everyone should just kind of like have a think about stuff. No, I'm not doing that. It doesn't really matter. And I really don't care. It's just when it comes to forums like this, great opportunity to just be like, hey, everyone's entitled to do what they want. We're all here just having a good time. We're just, it's this plugin, it's that plugin, it's this guitar. I don't eat every meal with the same fork. That's what's up. I'm just trying to feel free. I'm just acting on impulse to the things that make me excited about, whether it's gear or it's music. Sometimes I listen to this. Other times I want to try making that, realize, no, that's not for me. Go back to doing what I'm good at. It's just under the microscope. That's it. But we're all just here doing our stuff, and like, I love it. What a great time to be a musician. What a great time to or be an audio engineer or whatever. Like, by no means am I tripping about any of this stuff. I'm so happy to get to do what I get to do. This year's really illuminated that. I mean, we've had the touring taken away from us, which is really challenging. It's kind of a bummer, but as an independent artist, there's so much more that we can do. And and I think that we're starting to explore that and realize, like, okay, it is possible to continue like making your art and reaching people and still having an impact, and also feeling fulfilled in my day-to-day life, exploring the music. And right now it's a little less of the creative stuff, and it's more about like the service to the music that we're promoting. Which for those who are just tuning in, I've got an album, and you can pre-order it, and it comes out November 13th. And but anyway, I'm sure links will be in place.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I guess it's time for shameless plugs. So,
well, that was a great segue.
Yeah, it's, I mean, honestly, like, you tell people where they can find you, where can they get your album, and website details. Shoot.
Yeah. So, if you guys aren't aware, at Aaron Intervals on Instagram, it seems to be the place where we prioritize most of our content. Of course, Intervals Music here on YouTube. Be a lovely time to tell you guys to subscribe to the YouTube channel. I don't do that often enough, but it'd be lovely to get closer to that 100K mark. So playthroughs and various other pieces of content dropping there. Instagram for sure to stay in touch with everything. If you guys still use Facebook, do Facebook. Intervals, of course. The album is available on all streaming platforms. You can stream 2 singles from the record now. It is, of course, available on Bandcamp. We will always continue to do that for people who appreciate lossless quality audio. I know it's not full. I got schooled on this recently. Apparently there's higher levels of audio that I guess only dogs can hear. I don't understand how it works, but there's higher levels of higher than FLAC and all the other formats that are available on Bandcamp, but you can get everything there right now for an extremely discounted rate. You can actually purchase the entire Intervals discography, which also includes a pre-order of the new record. You get both the new singles and you'll get the entire new record right away in WAV or FLAC or any format that you desire. And you also get my entire back catalog. That's 7 albums for a ridiculous price. So check that out on Bandcamp, intervalsmusic.bandcamp.com. Like I said, everything's streaming everywhere. Go run it up on Spotify, Lock and Key, and 5HTP are over there. And lastly, if you consume physical things, yes, this is still a thing that people do in 2020, and we would really appreciate if you did so. sheethappenspublishing.com, and you can find all of the crazy stuff that we're doing over there. Multiple vinyl variants. We're also doing, of course, CDs for those that do still care. There's a ton of cloth that I'm really excited about. These are some of my favorite merch items, all designed by Corey Myers. They're amazing. They're things that I would actually wear every single day. Not that I haven't felt that way about my merch before, but I'm really excited about these pieces. There's a fresh hat. There's a mask. I made a mask for you so you can be safe when you go to the grocery store. Please wear your mask. We also made dice so that you can gamble with your social circle, within your bubble. I'm not encouraging you to go do anything that the government would tell you otherwise. Please gamble responsibly with mom and dad at home with the dice that I've made for you. And the cloth for your cold body. So that'd be lovely if you went to sheethappenspublishing.com and checked all that stuff out. And everything counts towards, first week numbers and all that type of stuff. It's a weird time for music. So just your support goes a really long way. People often ask, you're an independent artist, what's the best way to support you? Any one of these things. It's all sole owned by Intervals. Whatever you feel comfortable with, whatever is the most convenient for you. I appreciate your support regardless. The last thing that I should mention, I know Sheet Happens will kill me if I don't. Tab bundles are available, and you get the tabs as I drop the singles. Nobody's done that before with them. So as the single drops, you get the official tab in your email when you pre-order. You're also going to get a digital version of the book, physical version of the book, and jam tracks with all of my parts muted so that you can jam along and not have to play over me, which is really fun. So you get your own version of the record where we've selectively removed certain parts, and you can get in there and you can make cover videos, or you can just jam along at home and not feel like I'm in your way. So that's pretty cool. And all the various formats, custom Dunlop 0.88 flow picks with fresh artwork and all that stuff. And there's other things. We're running giveaways. We gave away neural DSP plugins right off the jump. That was the first week. We're getting ready to announce another cool one on tomorrow. And if you pre-order today, you could win test pressings. I could be here all day with this stuff. Let's not bore people anymore. Intervalsmusic.net will link you to a flash page that takes you in all these directions. You can also hit the link in my bio on Instagram. Anything that you guys want to do would just be a lovely support to this music and everything that we've been doing this year and are trying to do going forward. So that's the shameless plug stuff. Nice, and nice. Thank everybody for being so awesome and hanging out in the chat with us. And this has been really cool. This is one of only times I've been like live on YouTube or done this whole kind of thing. So, and I've got another one tonight with Sean from Era. It's called the Don't You Fret podcast. It's on Twitch, I think. So if you guys want more of this nonsense, come hang out. Absolutely.
That's awesome, dude. Dude, thank you for your time. I got one last question for you that I'd like to kind of close on. For those people who want to, for those newer guitar players, maybe people who are aspiring to do their own solo work or, starting a band currently, what would be the advice or the thing that you maybe even would want to tell yourself maybe 20 years ago when you first started out? What would you tell those people who are looking to start?
That's a good one. Do it for you. Don't do it for anyone else. And to unpack that, it would be, don't compromise the things that you want to hear in the music that you spend all of your personal time making because you think you have an advantage over this particular thing is popular right now. This seems to go over well. Don't do it. By the time you catch up to it, it's something new. You've put all your apples in a basket that's now disintegrated. Don't do that one. Listen closely to music and ask yourself about the compositions that make you feel the most. What about those things gets the wheels turning? and figure out how to inject your own personality into that. So the goal would be you're constantly proud of the things that you make. Nobody can take that away from you. And if it doesn't pan out, nobody can ever fault you for trying your hardest and doing what's the most honest to you. So you can't go wrong with that. I promise you can't go wrong with that from an integrity standpoint. It may not lead, like I'm being a realist with you. It may not lead to the thing that you think it could if you were to like mold yourself or make the moves that are popular right now. But I don't guarantee that formula works either. And when all is said and done with that move, you weren't true to yourself. And then now you have to take that up with yourself later. So it's you and you alone until the end. So you need to do it for you. And when it works out, you get to high five you. And that's a good feeling. And then just to sort of branch off of that, it's 2020, guys. Why is the recording contract the goal? I still see people talking about this. My band gets signed. What signed bands are even dropping music in the midst of this entire thing? All the music you guys are excited about, as far as our microcosm goes, it's all the independent guys that are dropping.
Mm-hmm.
The labels completely, the schedule was just like, 2020 is a wash because for a lot of reasons. I'm sure some of that's obvious. Beyond that bigger picture, there's no gatekeeper. And if I'm going to be specific, okay, maybe when the sky's the limit, if you're making pop music, EDM, there's a network for this stuff. You do have to somewhat run it through the machine. I'm not saying it's not the answer for, certain walks of life within the music community. If we're talking about rock, metal, hardcore, metalcore, instrumental guitar music, prog, whatever, you are the gatekeeper. Look what we're doing right now. I'm hanging with Steve. We'll get the microphone out. We're live on the internet. We're talking about products that make life easy to make such crazy music. It's just you and the music. And then if the things that I was describing before work out, put them in all the places all your favorite people do. Put them on Instagram, put them on YouTube, make honest art. And if it goes, it goes. And then you're the gatekeeper. You're your own boss, So that's the most important thing. Don't give it away. It's not worth the quick come up. If anyone's offering you this, we'll give you this, the most common one is you hear like a manager. Manager's like, oh yeah, just pay me this a month. No, red flag right away. That's not how it works. Nobody in the industry does that. That's not how that works. Don't give your shit away. Don't let people take money from you. Do stuff until you can't do it anymore. Ship t-shirts, pack them up in your kitchen and walk them down to the post office until they don't want to see your face anymore because you keep bringing endless boxes of t-shirts to the post office. You don't get a manager if it's just 2 emails a day. It's just, that's not right. So you put yourself in positions where you're doing everything until the seams burst. And I promise you, when you reach that point, it's so easy to just move over into the situation where you're like, wow, I've created something where I'm my own boss. I get to make the art. The machine runs itself and I own the whole damn thing. That's what you want. Don't do it otherwise, especially for guitar music. Nobody's paying the money that you deserve up front and taking your intellectual property away from you to do this. You're going to be in so much more control if you just stick to your guns, make dope stuff that's honest to you, and just, there's no more these antiquated notions of labels. I need this person. No excuses. Just do it yourself. That's my advice.
Beautiful. Aaron Marshall, make honest art. I love that. That's
don't give it away. Make honest art. Don't give it away.
Yeah. Awesome, dude. That was so eloquently put. I love that answer, and everybody in the chat loved that answer. So yeah, let's call that a day. Thank you all so much for hanging out in the chat. You all are amazing. Y'all asked some great questions. You had fun, and I really, really appreciate y'all. Thank you, Aaron, for hanging out with me, having such a great conversation, and being willing to put so much time into this. And I really appreciate it, man.
Of course, thank you for inviting me on. Appreciate it. Thank you to everybody who tuned in. You guys all rock. Love everything that Neural's doing. Guys, make sure that you just keep supporting everything these guys are doing. What an unbelievably forward-thinking company. I'm just happy to be a part of it. I feel really proud to actually be one of the very first known records that's 100% Neural DSP. And it feels good. It's just a good fit. I think that also just kind of ties back into everything we were talking about in the topic before. It's just a good vibe, and that's what you want. So just good vibes all around. That's like baseline. That's it. And
100%.
Love all you guys. Thanks so much for your continued support thus far with the pre-order campaign and everything that's coming out. If you don't know about the new music and everything, get educated, dial it back, check all the links I was talking about. And thanks to Neural DSP and Steve for hosting. And we'll see everybody soon when we can do that safely. Can't
Absolutely.
wait.
Thank you all so much. For those of you who tuned in late, you can check it out. This is going to get uploaded immediately afterwards. So we will see you all in that next one. Bye-bye.
Fuck yeah. Later, guys.